Good afternoon, good morning, and good night, wherever you're dialing in from. My name is Isabel Stark, and this is episode number 27 of the Empower Hour. Today, my featured guest is Marissa Pierre. I'm so excited to have you, Marissa. I know that we've had a little bit of technical difficulties trying to get connected today, but everything seems to be working perfectly now. Thank you very much for Sherry, who popped in and helped us kind of work out some of these technical difficulties. But I do want to share with you guys why I've invited Marissa to actually come on. I viewed a couple of things of hers. Number one, I viewed her on stage at Awesomeness Fest 2015. I wasn't there live, but I did catch the video, and that was such a moving interview. I mean, I have to say that speech was pretty intense, at least for me. And then you also were interviewed by a colleague of mine, Paula Jane. And that was actually how I really got introduced to you through my Facebook group. So I'm really excited to have you on. To give you guys a little background of Marissa, Marissa is a world-renowned speaker, therapist, and best-selling author with nearly 3 decades of experience under her belt. She's been named Best British Therapist by Men's Health magazine and featured in Tatler's Guide to Britain's 250 Best Doctors. She uses her experiences treating patients, including rock stars, CEOs, elite Olympic athletes, royalty, and Oscar-winning actors to inform her life-changing speeches and lectures. No doubt, that's what really attracted me. She's been voted Best Speaker at numerous conferences, including the Mastermind Group in London, the Women in Business Super Conference, and as I mentioned, Awesomeness Fest in 2015. So welcome, Marissa. So great to have you.
Oh, it's lovely to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. I am going to go ahead and turn the table over to you and let you share a little bit more about yourself and your journey and what it is that you're providing your gifts to the world.
Well, I started off as a child psychologist. I never quite understand why I thought that was a good job, because the minute I got it, I realized you have 3 patients, mum, dad, child, and with very little children, it's actually a really hard job to do because you've got to get through the 2 adult patients to help the little one. And I found it quite hard, and I was in a very, very deprived area of England too. So I, for some reason, left that and went to work for Jane Fonda in LA instead. I've always been impulsive. And anyway, I loved working for Jane. It was very different. But a lot of the girls that in the class were bulimic and anorexic and exercise compulsive, and quite a lot of men too. And it led me on
the height of her, jazzercise.
Oh yeah, this was in the late 80s when she had this great, it was all go for the burn. And she was only about 40 something then, but it was a great, great experience working for her. She was amazing. And but it really got me interested in the psychology of why people overeat. So I then went to hypnosis training school also in LA, and I trained to work with people with eating disorders. And it was so fascinating because, we keep dieting to lose weight, and it's not, diets don't work, because diets say stop eating cake and give up that habit of action. But I began to realize very quickly that every habit of action is run by a habit of thought. And you can't take away the action. You've got to take away the thought. No vegan says, oh my God, every time I go past bacon sandwiches, I want them so badly and I eat them. They go, no, I don't eat living flesh or flesh that was living. And so I began to understand that it's the habit of thought you have to change, not the action. It's like saying to someone, stop drinking if they drink for confidence, or say to someone, stop shoplifting when they get a bars of adrenaline doing it. So I started to treat the thinking behind every action, and it was extraordinarily successful. And then I kept getting voted the best therapist, which was very cool for me because it opened a lot of doors. And then all of a sudden I found I was flying all over the world working with really incredible clients. And what happened is I was fascinated by how their brains worked, because their brains worked just a little bit differently. And I saw that they had a few, the real top ones, the real players or the real top of their game, all had the same thought process in common. And I'm thinking, well, if I could teach this to my other clients, what would happen? So I started teaching my other clients how to run your brain, how to do what, because some people are naturally successful, naturally confident, natural leaders. And then I've developed this program called How to Be a Natural Leader, showing people what natural leaders do. And if you do it unnaturally, it's a bit like if you're not a natural runner and you run, you become a natural runner eventually. You can say, oh, I can't dance. If you have enough lessons.
It's the 10,000 hours, right? If you put in the 10,000 hours for anything, you will become a master.
People say, I'm not a natural mother. So how do you know? When you're a mother, you become a natural mother. So I started to teach people these things. And then I learned that you could really break down the workings of the brain, or at least I did, to just 3 things. And I started to show all my clients, listen, you just need to know 3 things about the brain. And even psychiatrists would come back and say, wow, I learned more in an hour with you than I did in 3 years at college. And in fact, that talk you're talking about is on YouTube. And there's a girl on there who said, I've been a therapist for 25 years. I've learned more in 40 minutes than I've learned in all my years in therapy school and with my clients. And so it's been really cool. A lot of doctors now and a lot of psychiatrists will come and train with me. And now I've got my own school and I'm teaching therapists, but I'm what I call an unconventional therapist. And I certainly hope I always will be. And I'm teaching people what I think is a much, much better method of curing people. Because as you saw that talk, I've come to realize, 30 years down the line, that all my clients come in with a problem. It's like, here's my problem. It's a bit like an onion, my problem is I eat too much, I can't keep a boyfriend, or I can't keep a job. And when you get to the center of the onion, it's always that they never think they're enough. And so I thought, well, why don't we just start treating that first instead of treating all these other things? Because a lot of people say, if I was thin, I'd be happy. And then they're thin and they're not happy. If I was rich, I'd be happy. And then we look at someone like Heath Ledger or Philip Seymour Hoffman, who are rich, successful, famous, adored, Robin Williams, and they still kill themselves because you need to cure the real root, which is, I don't think I'm enough. I don't think I'm smart enough, beautiful enough, handsome enough, rich enough, funny. I just don't think I'm lovable enough. So I started to cure that first. And it's extraordinary. It really turned people around. And I've just done a program for Mind Valley called Uncompromised Life, and it's all about how to take on these 8 different things. If you pick them up, you can really have whatever you want.
We all can, right? I mean, I'm sure that's what you've actually experienced, number one. But, I want to go back to you jumping and going into California to work with Jane Fonda. And
yeah, go on, sorry.
No, did that experience, obviously you were seeing the people that she was working with, but I'm sure she was at a different level on her game, and her friends, people that she surrounded herself with, were probably very successful.
Very successful, but had exactly the same illness. I'm not enough. So one would come in like the head of HBO and go, oh my God, I ate a biscuit yesterday and now I've got to go on the Stairmaster for an hour because it's sugar, or I drank a full fat Coke, and they had to punish themselves. Or they go, I've had cough medicine, it's got so many calories, I must now go ride the exercise bike for 2 hours. So it's really interesting when you look at really famous people who are miserable, because we always think, I'm unhappy because I'm not rich or beautiful or a size 0. But when I become that way, I'll be happy. Then when you find people who are a size 000 and very rich and miserable, you think, oh, now what? Because it's not about that. It's the belief that if I'm rich, I'll feel enough. If I'm a size 2, I'll feel enough. If I'm beautiful, if I'm married, if I've got children. But I find all my clients, they just swap their problems. So I just want to have a baby and I'll be happy. Now I've got a baby, but I'm still not happy. Or I just want to have a husband or this perfect body. And I find particularly clients who have a lot of surgery. And then they just keep having women. I've had women who've had their toe cleavage altered. It's like insane. It's like, even having bits of their toe bone shaved off so they can get into tiny little pointy shoes. And it's really an illness that I think women in particular have a very hard time, because we read magazines and then we go on Facebook, and it's what I call overexposure to fake perfection. Everyone on Facebook, their kids are great, their life is great, they're posing outside the Taj Mahal, they're on a boat. We think, oh, your life is amazing, my life's not like that, I'm inadequate. Mm-hmm. And, I was giving a talk to the editors from Condé Nast last year, and so, our grandparents had more sex than we do now, but our grandmothers had no idea what a designer vagina was. I think they lifted their nightie up and had a great time. And now even that's got to be perfect. There's nothing that we don't have to change. And it's like every year there's a new bit of our body to hate. So, they were talking about this. Do you know what the bikini bridge is?
The bikini bridge? No.
When your hip bones must stick out so much that your bikini goes from one bone to the other, and there's like a bridge because the bit in between your stomach is concave, and it's like, what is a bikini bridge?
Okay. Well, I had that. Okay, so there's a term for that. Good to know.
Bikini bridge. Yeah, and my daughter's generation, their boyfriends don't even know what pubic hair is. They all get rid of it because it's expected, and I just think I feel so sorry for women because they're pressured to be perfect. It used to be, you could look okay in your clothes, and if you were a bit chubby, undressed, no one was comparing you. Plus, you could get to 70 and then let it all hang out. And now it never ends. You've got to be perfect at 10. And at 80, we look at now people like Jane Fonda and Ira Blackman and think, oh, there's no time when you can just put on your stretchy pants and have a day off. And I think it's very hard for women in the modern world because the media shows us perfect women, and they get thinner and thinner, and their breasts get bigger and bigger, and we think that's normal, but it really isn't.
No, I agree. And one of the questions that's kind of coming up for me is, how is it that you think? Well, okay, because we've been talking a little bit more about just size of your body and weight and people eating or not eating. Now, do you find that? There are some people who are very happy being overweight or a larger size. And what comes to me right now is the vision of the size 16 supermodel that's on Sports Illustrated. And she's fabulous.
There are some people. I even Beth Ditto. I love the fact that, and what's that great Australian girl? I've forgotten her name. She's on all the, who's that girl, Claire? The fat Australian girl who's really funny, who does all the MTV presenting. Oh, yeah, no, she came on recently with the angel wings from the underwear brand. I have met some women who are plump and happy, especially if they have husbands who love curves. But the problem is that even if you like it, media will always tell you you've got to be thinner and it's not acceptable. And they can't find many clothes to buy. And then people criticize them all the time and prefix it in fat, you silly fat person, or you stupid fat person, or you ignorant fat person. I think it's very hard. They don't do it to men. No one did that to Luther Vandross or Pavarotti. But, women aren't allowed to be a fat sex symbol. Men are. So it's hard.
Yeah. But
I have met some. I have met a few. It very much depends on what their partners think. If their partners think they're gorgeous, they feel better. But then, when you're a plump woman,
I really believe it does come from within. A lot of it has to do with your self-love, and also what was demonstrated for you in the household growing up.
Yeah, but you see, even if you're plump and you love it, and then you have children, they'll often come back, Mummy, you're bigger than all the others. One of my clients saying that she had a child late in life and was blissfully happy. But when he was 6, he said to me, Mummy, why are you older than all the other mothers? And, kids put that pressure on you too. And one of my best friends said that at school, someone said to her, well, your granddad's come to pick you up. She was mortified. And she started to separate herself from her father because she started to see him as really old and thought he would die. And it's really weird how the media has such control over what we think is right and wrong in our lives.
So what would you recommend for somebody who is dealing with something like that?
What, feeling they're not good enough?
Yes.
Well, my recommendation is to write all over your mirrors in lipstick or eyeliner, I'm enough, and look at it every day and keep saying I'm enough. Instead of saying, when I get rid of my cellulite, I will be enough. You go, yep, I have cellulite, and guess what? I'm enough. That it doesn't make any difference. Or yeah, I've got, my legs are thin or my legs are fat, and I'm still enough. Instead of trying to be perfect to believe you're enough, you say, I'm enough. I might drive a crappy old car. I might buy my clothes in Target. I'm still absolutely enough. So instead of trying to be perfect to be enough, you sort of embrace the imperfections and go, with all of that, I'm still absolutely enough. And that's much better. Just do it the other way around. Don't try to be perfect.
And this this does expand beyond just physical looks. I mean, you did touch on the fact that, you are more than the car that you drive. You are smart enough. You are everything enough. You're more than enough.
And you're more than the job that you have, and you're more than the years on your birth certificate or the figures on the scale or the number in your bank account. Those things are really just, they don't matter. That's the other thing about women, is that even when you manage to get to this perfect weight and shape and size, you've always got to be younger. So there's a race. Unless you get to the finishing line, they move it, and then you get close and they move it again. And it's like, wow, I can't ever complete that race. So the only way what you can do then is to opt out. And so many women they completely drop out. They become bigger. They stop caring because you can't enter a race with no finishing line. It's just too hard.
Yeah, no, I see that. Well, I guess in the end, we really want success for all these people. And I know I do welcome you guys to look up on YouTube. I think it's called I Am Enough, isn't it?
I'm Enough. Yeah, it might say I'm Enough. Well, if you put in Marissa Peer on YouTube, I don't have that many talks. Maybe I have 7, but they'll all come up. That all comes up, I think, because it's got the most hits. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very good tool. I do recommend for everybody to go and check that out. But I guess I mean, the question that's kind of coming to me is about people being successful, because of course, seeing I Am Enough and really feeling into that space and believing it, like you'll start to see signs, and you talk about that in the talk that you have. But at what point does somebody really define, like, if they've reached that finish line, that they have become a success? How do you define success?
To me, success is liking yourself. I mean, that's what no one ever lies on their deathbed and said, I should have had more patience. I should have earned more money. I should have stayed in the office longer. I should have been on the treadmill longer. People on their deathbed say, I wish I'd gone to bed later, got up earlier. I wish I'd enjoyed my kids. I wish I'd lived in the moment. I often look back and think, I really wish when I was in India last week, I just loved where I was instead of trying to be at all. I mean, I was in India last week and I was trying to go from Delhi to the to somewhere else, and everything was like a 7-hour drive. And finally, my husband, let's just stop doing this, because we were driving 5 hours every day to go and see a monument. Instead of enjoying it, so we just went back to Delhi and just saw one thing. It was actually better because I try to live in the moment, and to me, that is happiness and that is success. Waking up, I love my life. And I every day when I wake up, I always think, I always do the little things. I get in the shower and go, I love the smell of this shower lotion. I love when I go to yoga, I keep saying, I love it, love it, love it. I often don't. I think, I've got to go there next. But I think success is really living in the moment, being happy, and training yourself to find pleasure in the most simple things. Because when you can find pleasure in simple things, then when you get big pleasures, it's like, wow, it's amazing. But so many of us can't live in the moment because we're always like trying to do more and achieve more and get more. And of course, that's part of I'm Enough too. Like where I am now is enough. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, that's exactly where you're supposed to be as well.
Like all these people now. I mean, I was at a concert and everyone's so busy taking pictures. They're not actually in the concert. Or they go out and they take pictures of their food. And when they post it on Facebook, then they look to see who's commented or liked it. And it's like, why don't you just enjoy where you are? I find that extraordinary. I've never been to a concert. Now I go to this new thing where people just are on their camera, but they're not actually in the concert because they're so busy filming it, posting it, downloading it, and then it's just bizarre. And one of my patients who's married to someone very famous said he spends his life putting up posts and going, let's go and have a look and see if anyone's replied. And they don't live a life because that's all he does. Posts, looks at the posts, and then looks for more posts. And it's a great shame to kind of live like that.
The effect of social media, though, I mean, and it's gotten, just in the last 10 years alone, look at how much it's grown. I think Facebook is turning, or has turned 10 or 12, I think, years old now.
I mean, I've been to a few. I remember being at a dinner party last week and the husband said to his wife, baby, put down the phone. She didn't want to because she was doing something. And my husband often says to me, put down. I now am very guilty of watching TV and then looking at my phone and looking at my iPad and doing something else. And it really annoys my husband. Because I can multitask. I can watch a movie and do other things. But I can see his point because he thinks I'm just not engaging with him. But it's a different world, isn't it, where we just do so much. We're always looking for the next big thing instead of just, it's like a lot of my clients who shop and they go, I need this to be happy. And I okay, go home. You think you need a shoes to be happy. Look at how many shoes you have in your cupboard. If they made you happy, you don't need more. You don't need more candles and cushions and stuff, because if it made you happy, then look at all the stuff you've already got. But we all brainwash into wanting all this stuff, and stuff doesn't make you happy. People make you happy.
And experiences make you happy. I think experiences with these people are the memories that you create. Like you talking about being in Delhi, you went back and actually were able to really immerse yourself in it and enjoy your time you went with your husband, didn't you?
Yeah, I went with my husband.
Yeah, I think we saw some pictures. So
we did go to Taj Mahal, but I really wanted to go to Jaipur, but I realized the stress in getting there. I said, look, no, forget it. And so we didn't go. I'd like to have gone, but you can't enjoy an experience when you're under that much pressure. So we did something else instead. And that's good too, to just say, look, this is enough. I'm happy right here, right now.
So even you, the creator of this, you are enough, have to be reminded of that sometimes.
Yeah, I do have to remind myself because I travel so much. It's very easy to go on a plane and it's so stressful. And I don't do that. I love being on planes and I love traveling. But there are moments when you think, oh, I'm just about to be overwhelmed. And so you do have to run your mind, or it will run you. One of the things about the mind that's very important to remember is it only responds to two things. There's nothing else. It responds to the pictures you make in your head and the words you say. So that's it. There's nothing else. So if you remember that all the time you're responding to the pictures you make in your head and the words you say, but you can change, you can go, oh, I'm overwhelmed, or you can go, no, this is great. So I'm now very good at saying, someone else would love my life. I came back from India, I was supposed to get straight on a plane to Texas, then go to Hawaii, then go to LA. And in the end, I decided not to go to Texas because it was just too much traveling. And the next day I kept thinking, should I have gone? I could be in Texas now. But sometimes you just have to, really, I keep reminding myself that I'm a human being, not a human doing. And that means you have to take time to just be. And I'm a great believer that you're a bit like a battery. You've got to recharge. And if you keep going, you don't recharge. So you have to put yourself first and look after yourself. But the best thing for me is to keep being aware of those words. Am I saying, oh my God, this is so stressful. Oh, I'm exhausted. Oh, I'm shattered. Oh, I'm tired. I don't do that. I might say, yeah, I need a little time. But I try never to say I'm exhausted, I'm shattered, I'm tired, I'm at maximum bandwidth, I can't cope, this is overwhelming. I try not to use those words, because when you use those words, your words become your reality. Whatever you say is what you are.
Yep, exactly. Words are actually the precursor to what is to become. So you actually make your reality, like you just said.
Yeah, your words become your reality. When you change your words, it changes your reality, which is a great thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, did you going into your whole profession, did it have any was there any personal drive, something for you? And what I'm getting at is I always like to ask my interviewees about sharing their biggest fear that they ever had in their life.
I must have always wanted to help people. My dad was an extraordinary headmaster, or I think you call them head teacher. So I saw how much he got from helping people, and that's why I wanted to be a child psychologist. I did want to help people. It's a great feeling when you can help people. So I love being a therapist because it helps people. But you were saying, was it my greatest challenge? You asked me my greatest
challenge, or one of the biggest fears that you've overcome, and how you actually overcame it.
When you're a great therapist, especially when I was younger, you're so busy fixing everyone else. I used to fix all these people, then go home, and I was on my own because I just had so many clients. I didn't have any time to give them a second appointment. I was often doing a 7-day week, and I was fixing everyone else. And then I remember once working on this TV show and doing this therapy with this guy, and all the crew were going, oh my God, this is amazing. And the producer went, this is incredible. And when it all finished, I mean, it was really late at night. I got in my car, I went home, they had to drive, and I opened my front door and I thought, there's something really wrong with this picture, because I'm giving all this stuff and I'm coming home and I'm getting into bed and there's no one here. I don't have a husband. My daughter was semi-grown up. I think she must have been at college. And that's a mistake a lot of therapists make. They give so much and they try so hard to fix, but they don't fix themselves, and they have a very, very high burnout rate. So that was a real wake-up call for me. But it was a good wake-up call because it made me decide to do something about it.
Very good. So you became conscious of it, and you actually actively took some steps towards it.
One of the things I teach people, and it's something I love, is about how the brain loves what is. It's the most frustrating thing for therapists, is that our brain loves what is familiar, and it actually would prefer to go back to what's familiar. And so if you're alone for too long, it's so familiar that your brain doesn't want you to change it, in the same way that, scientists will say, is it true? Do people really reject success? Yeah, they really do. If you've never had success and you have it, it's so unfamiliar, your brain goes, I don't like that. It's why so many lottery winners can win $15 million and within 2 years they will be broke. The statistics are extraordinary. But you see, if you have a very small pay packet, $200 a week, what's familiar is spending all of it and running out. So when they get $15 million, what's familiar? Mad shopping sprees. Investing isn't familiar. Putting it in something that will grow, running a business, all that's familiar is spending. And they get rid of it very quickly. And they often go, no, I'm back where I lived before, I actually prefer it. And if you've never been loved as a child or had very cold, critical, demanding parents, when you meet someone who goes, oh, God, you're amazing, let me take you out and spoil you, oh, I don't like that, no. And they go back to the men that don't spend money on them and don't praise them and make them really earn love, because the mind likes what is familiar. But having said that, you can make anything that's unfamiliar familiar and anything that's familiar unfamiliar. So I thought, right, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I just decided to make having a great man love me familiar. And I had to really force myself to go for a different type. And then I was married in 10 months and I'm still blissfully happy. It's just a question of, you got to decide. It's a bit like saying, okay, can I make exercise familiar? Sure, the first time you do it, you hate it, then you hate it again. And if you run every day, you don't like it, especially if you're heavy. But after about 2 weeks, you start to like it. I mean, the first time I did Pilates, it's like, I don't know, what is it, these ropes and holding the stomach and then the ribs have got to be here. I didn't understand any of it. And I was feeling quite annoyed. It's like, oh, I don't understand this. But I kept saying, no, I'm going to make it. But now I love it. But it's like driving a car, isn't it? Like putting in those contact lenses. You can make anything unfamiliar familiar. And you can make anything familiar, like going out with people that don't treat you right or not asking for enough money. You can make that unfamiliar.
So take us through what you actually did. Like, I know I understood that you said you met somebody and got married within 10 months. But how much work did you do prior to that to really be able to change reality?
Okay, so I worked in television a lot, and there's lots of guys in TV, and they're all a bit crazy. They're all creative types and a bit wild and, great fun. So that was sort of the type I went out with: creative, dramatic, selfish, self-centered, artistic, and often very, very damaged too. So, and you see, when you're with someone that's damaged, all you're going to have is a damaged relationship. So I made a decision that I could never have a great relationship with someone like that, even though they were very attractive. So I let go of the person that I was seeing, who clearly wasn't in my house when I came back from this TV show, because he was a selfish, artistic TV director. And I found someone else who seemed completely different. Then I realized he was actually exactly the same. Utterly selfish and self-centered. But okay, he seemed so much nicer, but he wasn't. It doesn't matter. Back, so I let him go too. And then I met this guy who was not my type, but our children used to go to the same school, so I knew him, and I bumped into him, and I knew that he was a good guy and very kind and very, very funny and super smart too.
But not your physical.
didn't have the sexual magnetism then, or the that kind of mad lust, which is good because you don't want to date someone because of mad lust, because that's the first thing that goes. It's the last thing that stays. And so I did actually have to make myself fall for him, but it didn't take very long. And I just kept thinking, no, I'm going to make this familiar. I'm going to make this. And of course, what happened is that eventually, we got married, and now I just find him really sexy and wonderful. And he definitely has the X factor for me now. And I would say we're happier than ever. But it's only because I had that ability to think happiness is over here and I'm going to go over there. But I've got to make that familiar and make all these crazy people unfamiliar. And of course, the minute I married him, one of the wild, crazy producer came back and asked me to go out for dinner and said, you should have married me. I'm like, when? You were never there. What are you talking about? I should have married you. You didn't even ask me. But actually did me a great favor. But it's so bizarre how that happens. But once you make something familiar, you don't have to work at it. It just becomes quite natural. It's like, if you take sugar out of your tea and full fat cream, it tastes horrible. But after a year, probably after 10 weeks, you go back and I can't believe I ever drank this. I mean, I used to drink Diet Coke every day. And then I just stopped overnight. And I tasted one, I can't believe I drank like 4 of those a day. It's like battery acid. It was disgusting. But
I did the sugar thing recently, and I don't know what happened. I recently accidentally put sugar in my coffee. And I was shocked at the taste of it. My husband's looking at me. He's like, "You're putting sugar in there?" But
when you eat something fake like fast food or takeout food or ready meals, you think, God, I can't. Once you start to eat real food, it's horrible. That tin.
The difference between organic and non-organic makes it. It depends on the actual item.
I find that too. I find that.
You keep talking about the word familiar. And familiar, do you think familiar and the word choice are used interchangeably? Because you actually made a conscious choice to go over there into the happiness realm of finding, a spouse.
Actually, one of the things that will change your life better than this is to say, I'm choosing to do this and choosing to feel great. But I am choosing to have fruit for dessert instead of candy. But I'm choosing to feel great about it. I'm choosing to, take salad to work instead of buying takeout food. I'm choosing to work out. I'm choosing to not drink during the week. But then you have to add, I'm choosing to feel good about it, because your brain has one job to do, and that is to keep you alive on the planet. Because, of course, our brain has hardly changed at all since we were cave people. So here's the brain. My job is to keep you alive. The way I keep you alive is I move you away from anything that causes you pain. So, and I keep wanting to take you back to pleasure. So if you have a kind of parent who says, oh, you've been so good, here's a candy bar. Oh, you fell off your bike, here's ice cream. Or, oh, your friend doesn't like you, here's a cookie. What you learn very fast is whenever I'm not happy, sugar makes me happy. And of course, there's loads of time in the day when you're not happy. But your brain now believes that this is what you want, and it's now familiar. Now you think, right, I'm giving up sugar, and your brain's got a different idea. It's like, no, but, when you were a kid, every time you were unhappy, that was the one thing that made everything better. And then we have Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, where you get loads of candy. So it's this reinforcement, it makes you happy. And we call it things like dream and heaven and heroes and celebration and love. And we call it happy meals and fun size and delight. This is constant brainwashing. And so the only way you can brainwash your mind back is you can't just go, right, I'm not eating candy, because your brain goes, but it makes you happy. You have to say, I'm choosing not to have candy, and I'm choosing to feel great about it. Because when your mind understands that it's a choice, it goes, oh, great. You see, your brain's job is to come up with resistance. When you tell it you don't want something, it comes up with resistance. If you go, oh, I've got to give that talk, and I've got to go on stage, I've got to do that webinar, and I'm really, really, really nervous. You're saying, I don't want to do it. And your brain will go, don't worry. On the day of that webinar, I'm going to give you the flu. Then you have to do it. And that's it. And we've all said things like, oh, God, I'd love to have a week off just lying around. And then you get the flu, or I'm dreading that presentation next week. Then you get an upset stomach.
And you create your reality.
Yeah, because your brain thinks you don't want to do that. I'm getting that from your language. My job is to keep you safe so I can give you an illness to get you out of that. However, when you say, I'm choosing to give that presentation, I'm choosing to feel great about it, your brain goes, oh, okay, well, if you want to do it, then I don't need to come up with any resistance. And I learned that actually when I was watching Marines training. When Marines train, they have like a miner's light on their head because it's pitch black and they're running in the dark and it's raining and they have half their body weight in the backpack and they sing. And because they sing, their brain's like, okay, you've got a miner's light on your head, you've got half your body weight in bricks and a backpack and you're running up a hill in the rain, but hey, you're singing, I get it, you like this stuff. And then there's no resistance. Whereas if you run going, oh, I hate running, I could be at home watching my favourite show. I've only been doing this for 5 minutes. There's an hour to go and it's uncomfortable. Your brain will very quickly try and get you to stop, which is why you've got to say, I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to feel great about it. So when I go to the gym and I'm not in the mood, I keep saying my body loves it. My legs love this. My stomach loves this, even if I don't love it. And it bypasses the part of you that goes, oh, I'm just going to sneak out early or pretend I'm taking my socks off so I can have a little bit of break from all these crunches. So I have to keep saying I'm choosing to do it, choosing to feel great about it, because it's such a good way of signaling to your brain that you want to do it.
I love the add-on there about choosing to feel great about it, because there's only so far our willpower can take us, I believe.
Yeah.
And just changing the language is great, but choosing to feel great about it is kind of the icing.
I learned that too from a lot of my clients who are in the movie world, but will stick a needle in the most intimate part of their body. It's like extraordinary. They go, oh yeah, it's amazing because, your wardrobe assistant never sees the bruises. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's really interesting how they think that is good to stick a needle like straight into their nipple. I couldn't do that. I find it hard enough to get contact lenses in my eye. But again, if you're a bodybuilder, you will inject yourself with steroids because all your things, I'm choosing to win Mr. Universe. Mm-hmm. If you're an aging starlet, you'll choose to have poison injected in your forehead every 3 months because you're choosing to look younger. So you don't go, I don't want it. If you are a junkie, you would choose to quite happily shove a syringe in your arm because you're choosing. And if you're in pain, I remember having this abscess once, and my dentist could have stuck a Black & Decker powder in my mouth by the time I got there because I just wanted the pain to go away. And so in each of those things, you say yes, but other people go, oh no, I don't want an injection. I hate needles and I hate shots and I can't have blood taken because they choose to resist it. And it's really interesting what you can choose to say yes to, because your mind doesn't care. It doesn't care if what you tell it is right or wrong, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. Whatever you tell it, it will believe. So you might as well tell it amazing things.
Oh, yes.
So have you ever done the lemon test? I think I was doing it on that talk, wasn't I?
I think you did, but I'd love for you to share it.
I'll do it now. So for anyone who's watching, just put your hand in front of your mouth like that. And when you've got your hand in front of your mouth, close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that you're holding in your hand a big fat half of the most juicy, gorgeous, fat lemon. And I want you to breathe in and just smell that wonderful lemon smell, because nothing quite smells like a lemon. And just squeeze it a bit so you can really feel that waxy lemon surface. And now open your mouth and cram that half a lemon into your mouth, shove it all in, and start sucking it and biting out massive chunks of lemon and chew it and suck it and bite more of it. And of course, what's happening is you straight away start to make saliva to a thought, because your mind doesn't care. It doesn't think, is there a lemon? I can't see a lemon. It just thinks, yeah, there's a lemon and you're eating it and that's very acidic. Now I'm going to wash that acid away. Because again, you're responding to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. So once you can understand that if you think you're eating a lemon, you physically start to pump out saliva, you can understand that when you think, oh, this is scary and this is nervous, that you make adrenaline. When you think, no, it's really, really exciting, you make something very different. So you really need those little proofs to realize that you always have a choice. You have a choice every day about what you think, what you feel, what you say to yourself. You know, we don't realize how many choices we have. Like people say, he made me so angry. Well, nobody can make you angry. Or he made me lose my mind and it's your fault I got so cross. People even say, it's your fault I smacked you or hit you because you were naughty, and it's your fault I dumped you. It's your fault I'm late home every night because you want all these things that I have to buy. And, you know, you have to, nobody can make you feel anything. It's up to you how you react. But a lot of people do that blaming. Oh, I'm upset because of the weather. But then I have millionaires who live on yachts in Florida who are upset and they have wonderful weather. Well, I'm stressed because I haven't got any money, which is stressful. But lots of people who've got lots of money are still stressed. So once you start to be responsible for the way you talk to yourself, the way you dialogue with yourself, it's extraordinarily life-changing.
I totally agree. And just not just the weather. You mentioned the weather, and I know that you're in Europe. The weather was a huge one. I lived in Austria for a while, and that was the first thing anybody would ever say to you. Oh my God, that's Wetter. And just always looking down on it. I live here in Canada now, and it's just really a choice. And people are shocked when it's snow covered, and I can tell them it's beautiful. Even my son, he's 3 years old, so I'm very conscious of this.
Yeah.
And now when, you know, it just happened the other day, we walked outside and he's like, oh, the snow, I don't like the snow. And I told him the beauty about the snow, and we touched it. And then he's just like that. He changed his thoughts and he loved it.
It's like in Scandinavia, they have a word called hugger. And hugger means when winter comes, you light fires and you light candles and you get all snuggly. And they really love hugger, and they make a big, big thing of it. Every window, and it's got candles in the window, and homes all have fireplaces, and they're very well insulated. And, you know, it's always a choice, isn't it? I mean, my little girl, we were going out one day and it was raining. I went, oh, it's raining. She went, Mummy, if it didn't rain, the trees wouldn't get any water. And kids are so good at looking at it differently. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you live in a hot country for too long, you start to long for rain, and you find snow amazing and rain is wonderful.
Yeah, and I think maybe that might have something to do with the snow. As I was raised in Southern California in the desert.
Yeah,
I really do enjoy the snow. I mean, it's beautiful. I don't enjoy driving defensively, but I can walk to pick him up from school, so that's wonderful.
But we should all be taught to be responsible. You know, responsibility is a word that means an ability to respond. Mm-hmm. So you have an ability to respond to things better than, you know, blaming everything and feeling negative and feeling stressed and being on this, like, you know, constant pursuit of stuff, rather than going, you know, life's beautiful and wonderful and amazing, but it's always the little things, I find, that make you the happiest.
Yeah, just like what you talked about at the beginning. So I completely agree. It is the small things. And from the small things will come the great things.
Yeah. And if you look at children, you know how often at Christmas you give them a great gift and they want to play with the wrapping paper. I mean, I took my daughter once to Finland to see Father Christmas, thinking it would be amazing, and she spent the whole trip watching The Little Mermaid in Finnish. It was on a screen in this Father Christmas land, and actually all the other kids wanted to watch it too, and they had all this stuff laid on, but they wanted to watch Little Mermaid in Finnish because that's what was familiar to them. They love the same cartoon every week and the same cereal, and when you get lots of new stuff, you think, oh, I'm going to love it. They actually don't always like it. They like what is familiar.
Yeah, I agree with that too. We have about 30 or so cars. My son's a car maniac. So yeah.
How old is he?
He's 3 years old.
So, but do you find he has one car that's his favorite?
You know, he switches around. There's a number of them. He really does he likes building things. He's very creative. Legos, he's building all kinds of strange looking cars, making cars out of odd things like cups. And
I find you can learn so much from your kids. You know, I think they teach you way as much as you ever do.
They simplify it.
Sorry?
They really simplify things for us.
Yeah, they live completely in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They talk to themselves really well. They never quit. No kid says, "Oh, every time I try to eat, I get banana in my hair and my ear, and I just can't feed myself." They're so wired to keep going, and they're really cool to look at. I love that poem by the prophet that says you should never try to make your children like you, but you can be more like them. And it's a great poem about how life doesn't go backwards, it goes forwards. And it's a really great thing about children. But, we learn a lot from them because, I remember when my little girl was little, and I said, "What do you want for Christmas?" She went, "I want a swimming pool and a horse." They think so big. She never said, "Oh, I just have a few crayons." It's like, "Oh, Mummy, I'll have a course and a swimming pool." And I mean, she was very happy with little things. I could buy her a little colouring book, and it would, she had this one little figure from Sylvania, and she used to make it dresses out of toilet paper, and she was very happy. But
that's a new mode now. I'm not sure if you've seen the wedding dresses made out of toilet paper.
Yeah, I have. She's obviously way ahead of her time. But kids think so big. They go, "When I grow up, I'm going to be an astronaut," or a movies, "I'm going to be a princess, I'm going to live in a palace." And it's such a shame that all our big visions, we start to think, oh, it's like, when I used to push my little baby down the street in her stroller, and people would come and go, "Oh my God, what a lovely baby." And even if her nappy was full and her nose was running, she'd kick her little legs and she'd beam. And she never ever said, "Don't look at me, I'm having a really bad hair day," or "I've got triple knees," or "I got spots." She thought she was the most gorgeous thing in the world.
Yes.
Babies do. When you're a kid, you get applause just for peeing in the toilet. You say the word cup, someone thinks you're Einstein. And so, but it's true, when your kid uses the potty, you go, "Oh, you're so clever. Oh my God, you used the potty. Oh, you said ball, you're like a genius." And it's such a shame it all goes horribly wrong because we start to, expect so much.
Expecting more and more.
Yeah, and making them feel they're not enough. I mean, I always remember when I took my little girl into school, she was 4, and I was walking her in, and she said, "Mummy, you see that boy?" So she goes, "He can write his name in a box." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I can't write my name in a box." I went, "Baby, his name is Sam, and your name is Phaedra, and the P goes down, and the H goes up, and the D goes up, and the R, and it's a long name, and you don't have to write that in a box." And in 3 years, everyone can write their name in a box. It's just not important. But that school had got obsessed with these kids writing their name in a box. And there was one little girl whose name was Diamantopoulos. I think she must have had a nervous breakdown because she would never have got that name. It was very Greek. It was about Diamantopoulos. And it's like, why would you do that? It's easy for the Sams and the Avies to put their name in a box, but the other kids, the Diamantopoulos, they start to think there's something wrong with them and they're not good enough.
I don't fit in this box, and isn't that what society does? My son's name is Sebastian, and he was actually spelling names the other day.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was spelling. Well, he was asking me my name, how he could spell my name, his father's name. And then when he got to his name, he was doing it from memory, but it was so long. S-E, he just kept going like, did I really remember it? But yeah.
And that's where we begin this process of comparing ourselves. Everyone else is younger, slimmer, prettier, fitter, happier.
Longer name.
Yeah, and then, when I meet all my clients that are superstars and supermodels, you think they're so miserable. Because they're in that same race now, they look gorgeous, but then they can never not look gorgeous. And, and I know when I was voted in this Tatler, the best doctors in Britain, I mean, my first thought was, "Oh my God, what if I'm not in it next year?"
Oh.
And I said that. It was great to be in it, but you think, what if I'm not in it next year? I'll feel like a failure. So I can see what that does to people who get, voted Britain's most gorgeous woman. The next year, if they're not in that top 100, they feel like a failure.
Or earning a certain amount of money.
Yeah, and then you go from being a have-it-all to a has-been. And, media is very cruel to people, I think. I spend a lot of time in Africa, and it's amazing how happy those people are because they're not in that race. Everything makes them happy. Sorry?
I said it's just very simple living, and they're again present, and not only that, but they're really relying on community. I think a lot there.
And if you say to them what makes you happy, they'll say, "Oh, it's the sun or the rain or the dark." I mean, when I used to go to Sicily, especially the old part, it's the same. You say, "What do you love?" They go, the hills, the sea, the land. And if you go to places like Greece, where people live in that different world where they all have dinner together, whole villages eat again on this long table. I see that in Scandinavia every 3 or 4 times a year. The whole village puts out this long table. They all eat together. And
Scandinavian?
Yeah, because in Scandinavia, in Sweden, everyone has they have these islands, and everyone has an island home. And they go there for the summer, and they always begin and celebrate the end by having a massive trestle table, and everyone has a community dinner. And they don't have TV out there. And I used to go to a place called Sandham, and there's no cars there, there's just bikes. And it's really cool. You take a little ferry and you go to a different world, and you see whole families on the beach, mum, dad, grandparents. And sometimes it's nice to go back and see that life should be simple.
It is. It's really nice to be able to connect to that. You're lucky you have that.
Yeah, and then you feel enough. You go back to that, I feel enough because all my needs are met.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, we don't have that many real, true needs. I mean, we need to breathe. It'd be good to eat and just be happy.
Yeah, and having someone to love you, that's really important.
Love is important.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need a lot to be happy. You just need love and contentment. But it's happiness. I always say, well, happiness is an inside job.
Between the times.
Yeah, and also there is no destination called happiness. You can't get on a train and arrive at happiness, because happiness is the journey. It isn't the destination. So you've got to be happy now. You're not going to go to a terminal that says happy and get off and go, "Oh, I found it," because it's actually the journey that's the happiness.
I completely agree. Well, I'm looking at the time. I want to keep you on time because I know we started late, and I know that you have an appointment coming up soon. I would love for you to share, though, what it is that you have coming up for 2016. Just share with our viewers how it is to contact you and
coming up.
What program.
So I just done this program for AFES called Uncompromised Life, which has been really cool. And it's been their biggest selling program ever, and it's broken all their records. So I'm making another version. But a lot of people have emailed me saying, I've been using this in school, a lot of teachers. So what I'm doing in 2016 and 17 is 3 things. I've got my own training school now. I'm teaching with my method. I've got people coming in from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all over the world to train with me. But the great thing is I'm actually making a program now to go into schools, which is really cool. I'm going to be giving it, it's a non-profit, so I'll go to schools and teachers. And it's all about empowering kids and giving them self-esteem and teaching them the same thing, the way you feel is the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. So I've got a lot of great things coming up, and my greatest things is the program that's going into schools, my own school, which I love, 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 and doing these products for Mind Valley, which are really changing people's lives. And it's a great thing when you can help people because it gives you purpose and meaning, which again makes you incredibly happy. So for me, it's all win-win-win, which is really nice. But I do love it. And every day I wake up and think, oh, I love my life. I really love my life. But it wasn't always like that.
It's beautiful that you can choose that, and it's beautiful what you're doing. I can't wait to hear more about the programs that you are putting in schools. I'm guessing you'll be starting there in London.
No, probably will start in America because I'm teaming up with Mind Valley to do this, and they're a company based in Kuala Lumpur. But I would imagine it will probably go into American and UK schools simultaneously, maybe even Australian ones too.
Or even Canada. I mean, if there's anything I can do. I mean, my son is just starting junior kindergarten, and I've had some really good talks with the school board here. We have a Catholic public school system, which he's entering into.
I'm teaching my school in Vancouver in August. In August, I've got my first school in Canada, which is really exciting.
Wonderful. So is that going to be a weekend program?
It's 8 days. It's an 8-day program. There's a 2-day gap. So you do 4 days, 2 days off. 4 days off. Yeah. It licensed you to be a what I call a rapid transformational therapist. So it's 8 days.
And that's by Peer Method, correct?
Sorry?
The Marissa Peer Method. You'll be training.
Yeah, the Marissa Peer Method. Yes, it's really exciting that it's coming to Vancouver, where I've never been and always wanted to go.
You'll love it there. It's really beautiful. What month are you coming again?
August.
August. Okay, the weather will be really nice. You should have some sunshine, which is good.
Where do you live? Which part?
I'm in Toronto, so on the east side. If you happen to land here, though, please do.
But you have beautiful summers too in Toronto, don't you?
Beautiful, beautiful sun.
Isn't Toronto very like New York?
Yes.
Summers, cold winters. Yeah.
Pretty humid in August, but July, August are beautiful. I mean, the whole, Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and giving us, I think, some great tools. I'm going to have to go through and really chop up some of the key nuggets that you've given us. But obviously, starting with I am enough, I think that's really the core of your teaching and where everybody can really begin, just reminding themselves they're enough of everything that they ever want to be or wanted to be.
I'm enough will change. I mean, a couple of things will change your life. Saying I'm enough every day, saying I'm choosing to do this and choosing to feel great about it, and not letting in destructive criticism. Those 3 things will change your life. And if you do nothing else but those, it will make your life extraordinary. And it's not hard. It's quite easy.
I agree. It just takes a little bit of effort, right? And just presence to really know what it is that you want.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, and I've now got to go and do a masterclass for my grad. So I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much, my dear. Wonderful speaking with you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want to, I'll let you do this.
And thank you all for joining in. I really appreciate having you on, having some of the questions that we had here. But Marissa was really just enlightening with a lot of the nuggets of wisdom that she shared with us. So thanks again for being on. I look forward to seeing you next week for episode number 28 of the Empower Hour. So make sure that you follow me. I believe it's up here in this area, and we will go from there. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye for now.